Welcome to Toffee TV. We've got the exciting breaking news that Everton have signed Amadou Onana. Oh, it's a big one. This is the signing that we've been looking to bring in. This is the one, the one that everyone else thinks, you can't get, and everyone else thinks he's going to go somewhere else. And these are not the players we look at. We look at other players who are English and have only ever played in the Premier League, who are 28. We've actually,
fair, it did seem like that for a
while. We've actually broke our own case, haven't we?
It is a good signing. We can all sing, oh, nah, we won't. It is a good signing, obviously loads of potential. West Ham have been in for him as well. Everton have been tracking him all summer. And can't have played the long game where Lille are concerned, because obviously the initial approach found out how much Lille wanted and the breakdown of the deal and stuff, and Everton were prepared to sit on it until something happened, something developed. West Ham in there as well. And once West Ham got a deal agreed, Everton went in and matched it, essentially, and the lad wanted to join Everton, probably more opportunity to play. I imagine Everton probably offered better wages as well, and because West Ham are a good side and they're a side in Europe, so if you're competing with that, you've got to come up with, make it a compelling argument for him to go to you. So for us, it's a good sign, but we must be patient with him.
So what are Everton getting then? Because obviously he is a young lad, 20 years of age, hasn't played a lot of games.
He played 40 games last season, but he only started 11 of the 32 games that he was involved in. So he is only young, he's potential. Played in Champions League as well. They're getting a midfield player who is good defensively, but is very mobile. I think his long-term future will be box-to-box midfield player. He gets around the pitch really well. He's good taking the ball under pressure. Or certainly that's how he's looked so far. The Premier League is a very different league, of course it is. But he stands at 6'5", and he's got that physicality, and that's exactly what Everton needed in their midfield. So he gives us that thing that we needed in there, which is presence about him. And you throw him in the midfield three, and if Everton were to get Garner over the line, which is looking likely as well, and you've got someone like Decore in there, you've got three lads who are all mobile, and two of them are really physical, and the other one does the job of two men. And even if you put a Wobie in as another one, so I think Frank Lampard would be delighted with this one, because it is a big deal.
Yeah, it's one that's been rumbling on, hasn't it, for a while. And obviously West Ham's interest in the player was well known, and obviously they thought they probably had it sewn up, and Everton seemed to have jumped in then when obviously they've agreed terms and come to something similar. And the player wants to play for Everton, wants to play for Frank Lampard. He's got a World Cup coming up in November, for Belgium. Obviously very highly rated for them. Roberto Martinez really likes him. Maybe he steered him in our direction, but he knows he's probably going to get more game time for us, even though he will be raw. When he comes in, he will have to settle down. He will have to get used to the Premier League. And we've spoke a few times, haven't we, about when we brought Marouane Fellaini in, who obviously similar kind of size, Belgian player as well, and how it took him a little time to adapt. And obviously, there are comparisons there, but we're all going to have to just let him get on with the job, aren't we? Not expect too much too soon. And we do have experience around them, which will help, but he's going to take a little bit of time, isn't he, I think?
Well, you'd imagine so, because, coming from France, which is, it's not the Premier League standard, but it's producing more and more good players. There will obviously be a period of integration that's needed, and a period of settling down. So I think the biggest thing when you look at players like this is have they got the physicality to succeed, and he's certainly got that. So like I said before, having someone like Garner, if Everton get him in as well, then you've got that experience, that know-how, someone who did come in came over from France, didn't he? Went to Villa and had a year at Villa and then moved to Everton and had a good spell at Everton. Having him in there with that experience, Abdoulaye Doucouré, another French midfielder, again, loads of experience playing in the Premier League. You can look after a kid like this, but as long as he's got the physicality and the mobility, which is what he has got, then everything else is just a case of him just getting accustomed to the league, really. And that's why we do have to stress it, that patience that maybe we don't always have as fans, but let it play out. Frank Lampard, fantastic midfield player, will be full of all the right kind of tips for the lad, and the lad can only develop from there.
Yeah, nice. And there's a lot of games coming up, isn't there? And ahead of that World Cup, there's a lot. And listen, with someone a kid that is touted to go to the World Cup, then he's, in terms of talent, he's going to have that. It's just that adjusting to the pace, isn't it, and the physicality of the game. But as you mentioned there, the size of him and what he's shown already, it's very, very positive, isn't it? And as you said, then that market is one that really we need to start getting more involved in, isn't it? And trying to get those players early. And we've seen success with other clubs. You've seen some of the sales Brighton have made recently, and how you can turn players financially around. And listen, we're not bringing him in for cheap. Let's not get it. Let's not twist it. We're not bringing him in exactly cheap, and there's going to be finer points of the deal that are still going to be very favourable to Lille long term. But it's a long term contract, and Everton, let's not worry about that right now. Everton will be looking at the here and now and thinking we've got a top talent, and this is what we want to do going forward.
Absolutely, and it's about developing that now. He's got all the tools to go on and be a fantastic midfield player. We've got to develop him, got to let him grow. He's come in on, a good contract, not on some of the crazy figures that have been touted, but he's come in on a good contract. And he's got to develop at Everton Football Club. He's playing in the Premier League now, all eyes on him throughout the world. It's a huge league to be part of. He's playing at a club where the fans want to see him putting himself about and getting involved. But like I've just said, he's with Frank Lampard, who's was one of the best midfielders in the Premier League era. He'll know him and all that, so he can impress on him. Certainly improve his getting in the box type game, arriving onto things on the edge of the box. But it is the market we've got to look at, and ideally you'd get him when Lille got him. I think Lille got him for 6 million or whatever it was, and they've sold him for 34. Everton have got to be doing those kind of deals. You mentioned Brighton there. Brighton took Basuma and turned him into a 40 million pound midfield player, and they're the kind of things you do. Everton had the opportunity a few years ago to get Sangari for 8 million, and people talk about him as a 30 million pound player now a couple of seasons later. So we have got to make these moves. And what I like about this, even though you're right, it's not a cheap deal, this one, and Everton should be trying to do the cheap deals. What I like about this is there is a case of almost twin tracking. If they do get Garner and you've got the more experienced head who's done it, been there, and you've got someone who can grow within it. So, what we're seeing is evidence of Kevin Thelwell and the recruitment team now starting to try to turn things into a different direction. And his signing, Evertonians should be excited with what they're getting, but know that they might he could come in at the ground running and he's in immediately, and people are like, what are you on about? He needs a acclimatisation period. He's right in. He may well do that. Fingers crossed he does do that. But these are the type of signs that we as a club need to make. Ones where if he does really well, you'd still make a lot of money on him, because that's how you become self-sufficient. It's also how you move up the league, and it's how you turn losses into actually being able to do your business early.
And I think with the fact that how young he is, and obviously we've got Doucouré and Allen at the other end of the scale, in hitting the 30s. Talon Yang out on loan as well for a year. Hopefully get him back next season, or even maybe the season afterwards, just depending on the way things go. It is about turning that squad around, isn't it? It's about getting, like you mentioned there, twin track, and having young players ready to step up when the more senior players are ready to make their move away, or you know, or are ready to start taking their places on the bench. And there's different areas on in the squad, you know, can be said the same with centre backs. You know, with Branthwaite being out, you know, one of those centre backs, you know, Yerry Mina, out of contact at the end of the season. Branthwaite comes back. You know, things might develop differently with a few weeks left of the transfer window. But you've got to have that, haven't you? You've got to have players who are ready to come, young players who are ready to come into the squad, taking the place of the older players, and having just that little bit of crossover, so that the learning off each other. So there's not so much pressure, like you've just said, where a player has to come straight into the team, a 20-year-old, and be expected to put his mark. There has to be that little bit of crossover, so that you get the best out of everyone, really, and it doesn't put too much pressure on everybody.
Well, we're seeing it with Nathan Patterson, aren't we? You know, young lad. You know, we've still got Seamus Coleman there as well, and hopefully that crossover will continue. Patterson, I think, what is he? He's 21 as well. You know, he's only young, so hopefully we see it there, and that's how it has to be. We've also got, if you're talking centre-backs, Reece Welsh there, who Frank Lampard rates highly. He's only 18, 19, you know, he's another young centre-back. So that's what you've got to do. They're you know, the kind of examples where you do turn the squad around, and that's how you get players who are assets, and you can sell them, but it's also how you develop your squad, and that's what Everton have got to do moving forward.
How impressed are you, though, by Everton being able to pull a deal off like this? You know, staying in there all summer with that clear plan of what they wanted to do, and just like being ready to strike and getting the player in who obviously, you know, is one of those players where you talk about them, but you don't really think it's going to happen.
No, listen, you don't want to ever go overboard, do you? But I am impressed because obviously heard how much they wanted and just thought it's going to be out of our price bracket, you know, this summer. And then you see West Ham. I think West Ham bid 4 times for him. I think in the end, like 4, you know, better offers for him. So you do think at some stage he'll probably end up there, but you've got to give it to the club, you know, credit where credit's due. So Richarlison had a certain amount of money. They spread the money, and they've ended up getting there. It is only, you know, he's a top talent, but it is only potential right now. People have likened him to, you know, Yaya Toure and people like this, but he's his own player. He's a big lad. It is impressive from Everton, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Whereas we've got a plan, we stick to the plan, we hang on in there, we get younger players who we can develop. And if we do that, I think as a fan base, not only will trust come back, but people will get behind it, and people will be enthused and excited by what the football club's doing. Because let's be honest, it's been hard work supporting Everton. It really has. And we got that money in with Mashiri, and we thought things were going to go better, and we were going to have a chance at the odd trophy and maybe getting the Champions League. And with the money we spent, we should have had both of those things by now. And we haven't. We've gone the other way. So this is a refreshing moment and you hope, and again, don't want to get ahead of yourself, but you hope that this is a kind of sign of things to come rather than just a flash in the pan.
Yeah, and it gives that little bit of optimism as well, with a couple of weeks left, or say, you know, 3 weeks or whatever it is left of the transfer market, that Everton can get a couple more over the line. I have good targets. I've been, you know, doing things the right way and hopefully get them over the line, and that's all. That's all you want, like you just said. Then it's having that plan, and for the fans to start understanding what that plan. That's been a really difficult thing in the last few years, hasn't it?
We need something to believe in.
Been ripping things up every 5 minutes, and it's difficult to know what's going to happen.
We need something to believe in, you know, and hopefully that's Frank Lampard, because it progresses. Hopefully Kevin Thelwell, who's made changes already at Everton in terms of Finch Farm, bringing in, you know, changes in the academy, recruitment team. Everton still after a head of recruitment, so the changes are ongoing. You want something to believe in. You want something to go, that's where we're going, and we're on this journey. You know, in 2 years' time, we'll be kicking the Premier League off in a new stadium. That's a big thing. So we all need something to believe in. We all need something to get behind. And if Everton can start breadcrumbing things for the fans and go, look, this is what we're doing, people will get on board. And if Everton push the ship back the right way, and the fans get on board the way they did at the end of the season, you're seeing how massive that impact of the support was. fans have been supporting, and it's been too much one way without getting enough the other way. So, and again, not going overboard. We signed a midfield player, so what? He's not a 45 goal a season striker. But what I would say is, on top of the business they've done, and on top of the business they're hoping to do, it's been a decent start for Kevin Thelwell and Frank Lampard for their first.
And the good news is, you've already got a song.
The song is there. Rihanna knew.
Yeah,
she
did,
and that's the thing. She knew, and we'll sort that out for her. We'll bring that. Listen, Stranger Things brought Kate Bush running up that hill back.
Exactly.
Why can't we give the Amadou Onana a resurgence?
Stranger Things seems more plausible than this signing for me, to be honest with you. There you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, just before we finish, are you impressed, surprised with this signing?
I'm surprised. I'm a little bit impressed.
I mean, there's a collector's item.
There you go.
There it is. Get that screenshot.
Tad impressed. Might even go as far as say I'm slightly positive about the whole thing. But there you go.
A sleeve sponsor and a signing like this in a week.
Incredible.
In the same
Incredible. Week. But are the two related?
Oh, we got the sleeve sponsor so we could afford that extra payment. I'm with it.
There you go.
Maybe. There you go.
There you go. Onana through the door. Who's next? Who's coming in next?
Onana.
Stick to Toffee TV and you will find out. There you go. Give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want more great videos, come and join us on Toffee TV Premier, and make sure to check out our new website as well, toffeetvefc.com. Everything is on there. Everything you need, the podcast, the videos, the Premier stuff, the shop, everything is on there. So make sure you check that out. And there you go. Thanks for watching. See you later.